How many more children have died in our streets, Prime Minister? How many more children? How many more children, Prime Minister?
King Charles's final decision sends shockwaves through Westminster. Keir Starmer reacts live. You're not going to believe what just happened. Because while the UK's political world was busy arguing over polls, party funding, and the latest ministerial slip-ups, something far more significant was unfolding quietly behind the scenes. Something that came straight from Buckingham Palace, something final, something unexpected. And when it finally landed, when King Charles made his definitive, unambiguous decision, Westminster felt it instantly. But the person who felt it the most was Keir Starmer. Live, on air, in real time. Let's break down everything that went down. 4 weeks now, insiders have been whispering that the palace was growing increasingly uneasy with the direction of political discussions surrounding the monarchy, the constant speculation, the attempts to modernize ceremonial processes, the jokes from some MPs, the commentary from journalists. Most of it wasn't hostile, but it was building tension. And anyone who follows British politics closely knows this. The monarchy won't publicly argue, but they will make a decision when they're pushed too close to the line. And today, that decision finally came. During a scheduled palace briefing, the sort that usually slips under the radar, King Charles released a statement confirming his final position on a range of ceremonial and constitutional expectations. The language was calm, respectful, and very traditional. But the message was unmistakable. The monarchy will uphold every one of its constitutional duties and long-standing traditions regardless of pressures, speculation, or attempts to draw the royal family into political theater. No loopholes. No ambiguity. No slow drift into political involvement. It was a firm reminder of the monarchy's independence, delivered at the exact moment the political environment seemed to need it most. And here's where everything took a dramatic turn. Just minutes after the palace published that decision, Keir Starmer was in the middle of a live television interview. Calm, composed, going through his usual talking points, when suddenly the interviewer stopped him. She held up her tablet, looked at him, and said, "Breaking news, the palace has just released a statement. King Charles has confirmed his final position on the constitutional debate." Starmer froze for a split second. You could literally see the shift in his eyes, that moment of surprise politicians try so hard to hide. The interviewer read the statement aloud. And before she could even finish, Starmer jumped in. He insisted the government had never tried to pressure the monarchy. He stressed that Westminster and Buckingham Palace always work in partnership. But the tone, it wasn't smooth. It wasn't relaxed. It was defensive, sharper than we usually hear from him. Not a meltdown, nothing disrespectful, but definitely an eruption by political standards. And of course, the internet caught it instantly. Clips of the moment spread across TikTok, X, and Instagram within minutes. One political commentator wrote, "Starmer got blindsided. That reaction says more than his words." Another added, "This statement from the king is far more significant than people realize. There is more going on beneath the surface." Public reactions poured in just as fast. Why now? What prompted the palace to speak so firmly? Did the government overstep something we don't know about? But here's where it gets even more interesting. Insiders, the ones who speak off the record, claim the palace simply wanted to stop the speculation before it spiraled. They didn't want their name dragged into political messaging. They didn't want to be part of party debates. They didn't want the monarchy interpreted through political lenses. So the king made a choice. To draw the line clearly, and finally. And whether Starmer liked the timing or not, that line is now public. Now, what does this mean going forward? For Parliament, it's a reminder that the monarchy still carries influence, even without speaking politically. A quiet correction, delivered with precision. For Starmer, it's a signal that every interaction with the palace will now be watched closely, analyzed deeply, and interpreted carefully. And for the public, it's proof that even in modern Britain, the relationship between the crown and the government remains delicate, powerful, and incredibly symbolic. But here's the real question. The one people are whispering tonight. Was this only about tradition, or is the palace preparing for a much bigger constitutional moment in the near future? Only time will tell. But one thing is certain. Today's decision wasn't just a headline. It was a message. A message that will shape the next chapter of Britain's political story, and everyone in Westminster knows it. And as the dust settles, one truth remains. When the monarchy speaks subtly, calmly, but firmly, the entire country stops, listens, and feels the impact. Because this wasn't just a royal decision. It was a turning point. And the consequences are only just beginning.